Greetings and salutations everyone, I'm Anika. This is an epilogue to Let's Play Glitch Fairy. So, it turns out there's a drawback from having extremely charming credit sequences. It gives me no time to give my thoughts on the project. Also, it's an indie game, so the credit sequences are rather small. Whoops. Anyway, my thoughts on this project as a whole. I've decided to wrap them up here because this gives us a chance to check anything that I particularly want to see. This is a good game. I feel like the fact that I got from start to finish on it, even with how difficult the bosses got sometimes, shows that yes, I do think this is a good game. It is a major don't judge a book by its cover story though, because if you look at the art style, it's very cute and innocent. And heck, they start off by playing a game of hide and seek in the field. In fact, I think that the game doesn't let you go to actually fly, but I almost wish that it did for that sequence only. You could just have a taste of what Monie has as actual flight, but too much effort. I mean, Magical Red Skull doesn't look that bad. Princess with a minigun in force field trying to conquer Sugar Town. That's actually kind of goofy, it's not that bad. No, the thing that catches you off guard is when Monie falls off that cliff. Because then all of a sudden you're introduced to the glitching beam. And we still don't have that very good of an explanation for the glitching beam. Except that it might have something to do with Anika's realm. But yeah, the thing that catches you off guard is the quote-unquote antagonists of this story, because aside from Anika, they're all extremely sympathetic and likable characters. It's just that you also know that they're getting in the way of the main character, and since you're playing the main character, you've got to beat them up a lot. I mean, heck, this game also implies a lot of other adventures that are happening or have happened in the past. Because it almost feels like Monie and Aaron up here have some sort of Mario and Bowser thing going on with how you... Similar to how Bowser is always invited for go-karting, even though he kidnaps the princess on a daily basis. It feels like she and Aaron have this weird playful rivalry going on. But then you've also got Splaney with her thing with her parents. She's trying to hold together a kingdom even with the royal council holding her back in every way possible. I don't know, maybe they're trying to annoy her into resignation. And actually that is a really confusing thing, so it's a good thing that we have these cutscenes. Let's see. It wasn't that one. Okay, here we go. They demand an update on the Sugartown situation. I know. They've reaffirmed their position and strongly recommend the kingdom approves the fairy village's independence. We need results by the end of the month or... I said I know, Varen. It makes it seem like the council has good intentions, but they're just opposing Spillane on this thing, but then no, you talk to Borrow, and it turns out the one good person on that council resigned ages ago. The Royal Council are pretty awful, but they're also a vague council of shadowy ominousness. We don't ever get to actually see them. So yeah, Spillane having to put up with that on all sides makes her sympathetic, but she's also a princess with a minigun trying to beat us up on a regular basis. So naturally we've got to oppose her on that. And then there's Ibri. It feels rather unfortunate that we weren't able to get back at the PF, or whoever it was that was responsible for giving Ibri an infraction. Like, we never even found out what the problem she had was. She didn't get a lawyer to defend her, so they just took it without any opposition. And then they used that to pay off PF for the "I can't believe my employee did this" tax. Just complete monsters, but we don't get any sort of vengeance against them. I kind of wish that before Spillini resigned, she had funded her war team in Hell's capital to get Iberi's flying back. Then we wouldn't have had to share, but I guess the idea of this story is to take advantage, to be grateful for what you have because it won't last. And then there's Anika, who is not sympathetic, but you can sort of understand her, goddess of death and all that. I don't know, on one hand I feel like it was a dick move to just blow up the skull rather than let Monie get her flying back and then blow up the skull, but what's going on with her and Monie is really weird. Because she wanted Monie to just stay dead, so she destroyed the skull to make Monie, to take away Monie's reason to live, I guess. Which did actually kind of work on Iberi, since she went into a manic depression. Actually, I think there's a cutscene for that. No, we have to go one left. Ice Creams and Sobs episodes. But yeah, Eric, you can see from the journal that Iberi really doesn't think that leaving Hell's capital is that bad, but losing her that part of her identity, her flying, that really hurt. So yeah, I can understand Anika thinking the same thing. That if Monie loses the skull, then she loses the reason to stop pursuing it, and she doesn't. And at the end of it, you don't beat her, you just survive her long enough to say, look, this is too much effort, just go. She doesn't pay us back for destroying our powers, because really, I think she crossed the line by destroying the crystal, and she never paid the price for it. I guess there is one more thing. I'm trying to figure out if it would be something other than... Nope. Nope, we just started at the credits again. It's easy to forget that Spillini is actually built that strong. But I guess it's worth bringing up that I'm kind of torn on Spillini resigning because on one hand, I like the idea that Spillini quit only to get elected immediately because she was actually very popular with the populace. But there's also the risk that one of the councillors might have used the remaining funds to buy their way to get the biggest representation and win the election, and then they just got what they always wanted. Even more than they had already, but I don't know, I guess that's not the important point of the story, is it? The important point is that Spillini no longer has to carry on her parents' legacy. Anyway, let's go back to cutscene 7. There's a cat in the background, and quite a few cutscenes, there's a cat just hanging about. And it makes me wonder if Erin was using them to keep an eye on, was using her cats to keep an eye on Monie. I mean, she's a cat lover, but she could also have cat reconnaissance magic. But yeah, one more thing. Yeah, it wasn't just shattered, it was vaporized into grey ash. Erin still has those tattoos from being possessed, but also, she doesn't really seem that interested in getting elected again, so having people... But on the other hand, the reason she feels trapped into never having the same last word on anything is because the council has so much power. Getting rid of the council and then getting elected again would give her a better edge. And here's the point that catches me off guard. I need to accept everything has to end one day. Anika isn't here, so apparently she's also getting what she wants out of this situation, but she took away what everyone else gets. It just annoys me. Also, I don't think she's spying through Erin to do it, but I don't know. Why are you even here? You've already ruined enough things. Go away. And of course there is that Erin boss fight, so I'm going to kick myself when I come to editing this episode, but at the end we meet 4 characters. They don't look like anyone that we've ever met, but they seem familiar with Monie. I knew about this final battle because I watched a video on all boss fights and related cutscenes. It's what helped me decide to play the game, so it wasn't entirely blind, but I hadn't seen any of those lore discussions. Now here's the thing. The boss fight has 4 characters, and I spent the whole game thinking, when are we going to get to those quests that explain who these people are? But then I got to that scene and I saw the names, so here's a little bit of editing magic. What's your favorite candy? I like cream soda gummy bears. I'm glad we chose this shade of blue for our tunics. Contrasts perfectly with my hair. I like the human who runs the store. She always has this nice genuine smile on her face. It's a shame that Annabelle doesn't want to meet her. I don't like cloudy days unless it's raining. So yeah, there's some really weird stuff going on with the true pasts of the Sugartown fairies. And then there's the scene that made Monie break down, not just because it's more being skewered by Anika's spears, but also because you see something that's heavily implied to be Monie. But does that mean that Monie died someday and is now a Sugartown fairy, or does it mean that Monie felt her death when Badassia took her powers away? I don't know, it's very hard to tell these things sometimes. Well, okay, there's all my thoughts on the plot. Now, what do I think about the gameplay? I think this is an extremely smooth game. Monie is an absolute dream to control. At the start you get a little bit hesitant, but the tutorial covers everything you'd possibly need to know. After that you can just it's just all down to your skill. The evolution, I suppose, is picking up the boost shrooms and buying stuff from the shop to give yourself larger glitch beam tank or increase your health and nonsense like that. The change in gameplay comes from the glitch beam, which is pretty cool. The fact that it can one-shot absolute anything means that you're basically going to want to use that as often as possible, but it's also used for puzzling or speed runs. Ooh, it's really good. My biggest complaint is with ladders, because ladders are always confusing me with their physics. Even after playing through the entire game. The bosses get kind of brutal after a while. Especially towards the end here. I'd say starting with Ivory, the bosses started to get a little bit unreasonable. It feels like you always need to have a healing potion in your inventory because the game expects you to. But that also crosses over into, oh dear, there's a boss rush. There's a secret ending hidden behind the boss rush. There is an enemy in the compendium hidden behind the boss rush. Which means that we have to beat these people who I could barely beat with twice my health pool. We have to beat them all back to back. I think if you could make it past Possessed Eren, I'm hoping that Anika will still be scripted that you can't ever lose to her. And I'm pretty sure there isn't some sort of super secret boss beyond that. The ending isn't tied to anything combat, it's just tied to weirdness. But I'd have to beat Super Spillane on limited resources. That's just not reasonable, so we aren't going to see the continuation of bonus episodes for a while. Now in terms of the platforming stuff and such, yeah, that's pretty good. Actually, yeah, dreams are also another thing I should probably discuss before wrapping up. I don't like how it keeps resetting my music. Now, where was I? The levels never felt that unreasonable in comparison. Maybe Kanika's Palace a little bit, but by that point you actually don't need to get 100, you don't need to have a survive everything run. So that's fine. There's definitely some room for some mastery of this game with the Deathless runs, the What's It runs, and all the extra blue coins you could pick up. No, I like the game, it's really good. But there are also one or two things that I think are kind of dumb. Which is a lot better than some of the AAA games out there, I can say as much there. I have a lot of complaints about games with too much story. I wouldn't call this an excuse plot though. Glitch Fairy does have characters that are compelling and likeable, and it has vague, ominous threats that aren't. I don't know, I feel like that's how you're supposed to do games. I also have to say one big thing. I have no chance of pronouncing it out loud, but the dev behind this game was very open with it, helping out with this project. I would not have been able to find all the dream spots on my own. They are just too unreasonable. I asked him directly, he gave me a list of all the locations. And heck, he actually gave them to me in such a way that he never spoiled about upcoming levels. That was very nice. When I needed musical time skips, I asked and he gave them. I asked him, okay, where's the first ancient medal? I can't find it. And he pointed me at the place where I'd missed it. Yeah, I'm very grateful, and it turns out that they do have a DeviantArt page. It does, apparently I don't know whether he or she is the problem. I want to say he because of the username, but I could be wrong. Apparently he has put up a few Glitch Fairy comics, but they're mostly Toho fan comics, which explains quite a bit. I don't want to say something rude like, oh well that explains everything, but it does explain the bullet hell segments a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, two more thoughts. One, dream spots. They still don't really explain anything, they just give us some backstory, and I honestly never knew what to expect from them. Because here's the thing. The way that we had, let's see, was it Dream 3? Not quite, but it made me wonder. There was a specific train of thought that I had. I don't mind the music resetting because I'm about to go over and... So over here, in the compendium, their friendship is so admirable, they fought together to the very end. Do you have a best friend, Monie? She kind of doesn't. And it made me wonder, what if Monie in her past life was Spillani's best friend, but then something horrible happened, and then she ended up as a Sugartown Fairy, so they're enemies again. Then, I don't know, maybe they can make up and be friends again, but no, that's not where it was going. And heck, this last screenshot doesn't really explain anything either. Someone really misused their purple magic and are getting grabbed out of nowhere, but that doesn't explain anything. Like, Monie's signature thing is cows. So maybe the girl with the cow doll was past Monie, but I don't know. This game has a lot of unexplained lore, which means it's a lot of fun to theorize, but sometimes it's just nice to have simple answers. And I guess that's just part of the fun of the game. It promotes discussion even after you've beaten it. Actually, that was a good song to have it set to. So the other thing to discuss, Hibari and Erin's thing. I think that they have a very strong platonic relationship, and other romantic relationships in media wishes that they could have as strong a relationship as this. But for some reason I just don't feel like upgrading it to oh, well, they should be dating then. It just doesn't sit well with me. So when it comes to me, I'm very simple. If it's not an official ship, then I'm not going to be interested in it. Failing that, there is one caveat. If at least one or the other shows interest, and it's not something extremely uncomfortable, such as what we had with the Tsubasa in Tokyo Mirage sessions, then I'm also willing to ship it. There's also a few random ships that I have, but that's mainly of the, well, they aren't going to meet at all in person, are they? Sort of things. But the thing is, they don't seem to be interested in taking anything further. And they're perfect, and neither of them seem unhappy with that. So why should I insist that, well, they have to upgrade the relationship? It's too strong to just be friends. I don't know, it feels kind of hypocritical to say that when I've complained about Persona 3 Original and its insistence that all of your female social links have to end in dating. Maybe I just want to see their story. But anyway, that's just my official thoughts on what's going on with Erin and Ibri, because I did actually go and look it up. I believe it's cutscene 4. Nope. It's not this one. Here we go. So yeah, she is invested in Ibri's well-being, but I didn't know you two sweethearts had a date tonight. I'll be on my way then. Don't worry about me, it's okay, I've got plenty of work to do. I won't even have a minute to spare thinking about my celibacy. Yeah, that just doesn't seem... The fact that she flat out says, my inner... It makes me think that no, they aren't interested. Even though there's that teary cutscene after the boss fight against the both of them. Anyhow, where was my last thought? I can't believe I picked the cutscene I wanted on my first shot. Hey kitty, how'd you get up there? Do you need help getting down? The fact that there's this cat that keeps showing up in cutscenes makes me wonder. I mean, yeah, it's an ominously staring cat. How did the cat tie to all of this? So then, I think that covers it. I feel like I covered everything I wanted to, so yeah, I guess that's just about my thoughts on the game. It's a good game. Sadly, they've only released one game, but I suppose that's what happens when you make quality games. They take forever. Until next time, guys, take care. I'll see you all around.